We're here at your headquarters to find out more about the energy initiatives you started up here.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Let me just talk about the strategy to begin with. So globally, what we're trying to do is to become a sustainable bank. That's our long-term objective. So that means we have to implement initiatives to reduce our environmental footprint. We need to take the principles of sustainability into our lending and investment core business. And we need to support communities in which we operate as well. So that's the strategy. If we're going to be credible in talking to our clients and customers about climate change and sustainability, we have to implement initiatives in our buildings, in the way we operate, to show the way forward, to show that we can continue to grow our profits but reduce our environmental footprint. So what we've been doing in this building here in Canary Wharf in London is to try to show that we can become more efficient in the way we operate.
Francis, this time last year, HSBC launched a $90 million environmental efficiency programme. Could you tell me where that money's going and what you've achieved so far?
Firstly, we want to make sure our buildings are as green as possible. Secondly, that the management systems of those buildings, the operational systems that we have, they're largely run by computers these days, but they are as efficient as possible. And also that the people who work in our buildings are behaving in as environmentally efficient way themselves. So it's about our buildings management systems and our behaviour. And just to give you a couple of examples, in this building here in Canary Wharf in London, we are now, just because we're managing this building more efficiently, getting the lights to turn off when everybody goes home, making sure the air conditioning system is run as efficiently as possible. We're now 7% more efficient than this building was in 2004, and per employee it's 22% more efficient. And secondly, we've now just inaugurated these new solar panels on the roof here. It's the largest array of solar cells on a corporate building in London, 422 solar panels. So low carbon technologies and efficient use of resources, that's what the Global Environmental Efficiency Programme is all about.
Do you find that the fact that you've spent 4 years trying to reduce that, trying to increase your environmental efficiency by 7%, do you find that that's actually quite a low figure? Were you expecting to be able to achieve more in that time?
And we know that some chemical companies, power generators, can set 30, 40, 50% reduction targets and should do simply as a matter of environmental efficiency, good housekeeping and saving money. But in the office environment it's much, much harder because there's only so much you can do to take out the light bulbs and reduce, move them to more energy efficient light bulbs. There's only so much you can do to move from one type of IT kit to another. And so we're quite pleased. If you can move at 1 to 2% a year, we're actually doing quite well. We think the total over time might be about 20 to 30% based on that 2004 benchmark. But we aren't going to be able to reduce energy use by 80, 90% as some businesses can. The efficiencies just aren't there in terms of the kind of business we run.
And you say that solar panels on this roof generate enough electricity to power 20 homes. But with 7,000 employees in this building, how much of a dent does that make in your overall energy use?
What we've done is we have covered as much as the roof of the roof in this building as we possibly can, as we physically can. And when we embarked on the project, we knew it would only produce a fraction of the electricity that we use in this building. We know that. But we wanted to really show that it's possible to do this, and that what we really want is other companies to follow our lead. Because the more companies that buy solar panels that are going to generate power that substitutes for the grid electricity, the more it's going to pull through from the market demand point of view the production of these solar panels, so the price will go down so that it becomes more economically viable.
HSBC was very busy last year conducting a feeling survey across the world of people's different attitudes to climate change globally. And they also, HSBC also appointed Nicholas Stern to advise them on climate change and their strategy. Can you tell me where you are a year on from those projects?
Specifically, one of the products that we've created is called the HSBC Climate Change Fund. And what that does is it follows the climate change index that we launched in the middle of last year. And this fund was launched on the back of it in November 2007. The Climate Change Fund looks in 4 areas of clean technologies, waste management, renewable energy generation and energy efficiency for the small and medium-sized companies and the large companies that are going to benefit from the regulations that will come in around climate change, and also the changing energy prices that we think are inevitable over the next few years. So that we believe it's possible to do the right thing and to make money out of doing the right thing. These two things aren't necessarily in opposition, that you can go, it's possible to devise products that actually support the development and will accelerate the development of the low carbon economy. In doing that, we brought in advice from all sorts of different organisations, from our own employees around the world, from experts that we have in our research teams here in London and in Bangalore. We've talked to our NGO partners and also specialist advisors such as Nick Robbins, who's now working with HSBC, and also Lord Nicholas Stern, who's been able to bring in, you know, a unique perspective from his experience as former chief economist at the World Bank and at the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and his long experience of China and India, to help steer the strategy that we have on climate change, both from a climate change mitigation and an adaptation point of view.
It's interesting to talk about Nicholas Stern, his influence on HSBC. Has he advised HSBC to kind of go for certain investments and avoid other investments, or is he just taking a neutral perspective on that? You've encountered some problems with environmental NGOs who have highlighted HSBC's involvement in companies like Samling, who've been accused of deforestation in tropical areas. And in May this year, Friends of the Earth brought out a report highlighting European companies that are involved in agrofuels production in Latin America. And HSBC is involved in 5 companies producing agrofuels in Latin America that the NGOs say have been linked to deforestation.
Firstly, on the question of Lord Nicholas Stern's involvement with HSBC, he's advising HSBC much more at a strategic level, rather than suggesting that we should get involved or not in particular sectors, particular technologies. It's more to do with the high level, big picture, if you like, of which of the technologies looking ahead are likely to be the big winners. How are we going to be shifting away from fossil fuels and towards renewable energies? And it's really up to our bankers, people actually employed by HSBC, to then get into the detail and work out what that means for Brazil, or in the US, or in the UK, or in China. So that's really what's been going on for the last year. On your second point, you asked about HSBC's involvement in the sort of forestry sector. We were one of the first international banks to bring out a guideline to steer and direct our investments and lending to this, what we would call a high-risk sector. We brought out something called the Forest Land and Forest Product Sector Guideline back in May 2004. It's one of the first things I did actually when I came into HSBC, was to help write that guideline. And what it does is it steers HSBC over a period of time away from the sorts of companies and parts of the world where we believe land use, and particularly the production of biofuels or forestry or palm oil, for instance, is not sustainable, towards those companies and those sectors that will be sustainable. We chose a number of schemes to be our benchmark, including the Forest Stewardship Council, or equivalent for timber, and the Roundtable for Sustainable Palm Oil for palm oil. And we believe that it is possible to produce timber sustainably and palm oil sustainably, provided the right guidelines are followed. And those are the expectations we have from our clients, that they will follow those guidelines over time. So we're helping to move our clients in that direction. And yes, we're aware a number of reports have been written. Some of the information in there is correct and some of it isn't. What we're trying to do now is be more open and transparent, while still respecting client confidentiality, about how we are involved in these sectors and the kind of work that we're doing. Needless to say, what we're seeing over the last couple of years is a shift towards HSBC providing financial services to those companies already certified as managing their forests sustainably and with sustainable palm oil plantations, and away from those clients who basically don't have a business model that fits ours. That means we've had to part company with a number of clients in Southeast Asia and Latin America. But probably if we're going to run a sustainable business, that's exactly what we need to do. So it's always sad to say goodbye to a client after a number of years, but this is what we've had to do.
Have you said goodbye to Sunling?
We can't talk about specifics, but what the assurance I can give you is that by 2009, which is our target, all the clients that we have in high-risk countries will be compliant with our policy.
Otherwise, you'll give them the boot.
Otherwise, there won't be clients, so either they will leave or we will terminate their accounts with us.
Okay, thank you very much, Francis.
It's a pleasure. Thanks very much indeed for coming in.